101.1 HIRT-AFM, Roatan, Honduras, Blue Wave Radio. Now it's time for the Roatan Real Estate Roundup, presented by RE/MAX Realty. When you want to learn about real estate, listen here. And now the host of Roatan Real Estate Roundup, Russ, Regentz.
Good morning, everyone. This is Russ, Regentz, with the Roatan Real Estate Roundup, sponsored by our partners at RE/MAX. Today, we're going to have the third out of our four-part series with Mr. MAREK VENURA, one of the best agents out there. And we've been talking about building your home. So, MAREK, good morning.
Hi there, Russ. How everyone? How are you doing? I'm glad to be here again, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to have you. I always like these conversations. These are good. So the first two parts of our series, we talked about choosing land, choosing a builder, and things to consider, pre-build and while you're getting ready. Today, we're going to talk about 5 things to really consider during your build. So while things are happening. So we're going to talk about those. So Marek, first one is obviously, site visits and communication. You and I have talked about communicating with your builder constantly being a very key component. Talk more about that, if you will, a bit, would you?
Yeah, correct. Remember in one of the series, we already started talking about it a little bit. So it's very important once you've picked the right builder that you choose the right communication. So constant messages, calls, emails, and have a recording of the build site. So you have pictures, you have videos. If you can't be there, have someone that some third party that will go there and then actually gives you the right ideas or right situation of your build site. Because sometimes the builders, they do things, and then once you get to the site, things are a little bit different. So it's very important that either you have the time to be there, or you have someone that you can actually trust that will give you the actual situation, how the build is going. Is it where it's supposed to be? Is the right material there? Are all the guys working? Is it everything going according to the plans? All these things are very important, so your dream home is built the right way.
Absolutely. I think one thing we had talked about, we touched on before, was making sure communication between the builder and the architect is also pretty seamless and is also important as well.
Correct, because remember, so you pick your plans with the architect, and then sometimes we actually have issues communication between the builder and the architect. Because sometimes it's very difficult, because it's not all the architects are 100% on the build, So, and then some of the builders, they having issue with the architect because, they design stuff, it's hard to build. It's they choosing things that it's difficult to deal with here on Roatan or in Honduras. So this is very important. Make sure when you're designing the stuff, your plans, that your architect is from here and is aware what the guys can use, what the material can be used, what is the I'm sorry, I just lost it.
Okay.
All the not only the material, but the way that they build stuff. All right. So it's going with the education that we have here. I remember few construction that we have. We had some issue between the architect and the builder. This is very common. It's good. Sometimes the builder will catch few things that the architect doesn't design correctly or the way that it should be. It's very normal. It's a common thing that during the build that you have some changes. So that's why the communication is very important. All right. I remember a few construction that we had. I will save some dead spaces, that it looked good on the plans, but then in the reality, when we were building it, then suddenly we realized, we need to change this, we need to change the door, we maybe change the windows, maybe change the doors a little bit. So that's why it's good to always have all three, you and the builder and the architect on the side, so that way you see these things while the build is done.
Right. Well, and I think that's a good point. That's that overarching theme of communication. Again, we've had this conversation. You're spending $3, $4, $5, $600,000. You would think you want to be engaged. So, okay. So one of the things we talked about, and it's kind of it seemed like a small thing until you brought it up, and it makes perfect sense. Make sure you're monitoring, the material quality and availability. In other words, what you think you're getting, make sure that you get.
Yeah, correct. Because right at the beginning, when you sign in the contract with the builder, you have everything detailed in your contract. So it's very important that you have someone, again, you or someone else that you can trust in monitoring if that right material is being used. If, because the builders, they're always trying to cut the corners. They're always trying, like use maybe cheaper material, even though that you agree on something else. Or remember, we're on the island, so not all the time we have availability of the material that we agreed on. So it's again, we're coming to the communication back that it's important that the builder lets you know, or you caught it on the right time, and maybe decide, okay, if we have to delay the construction or we have to wait to get the right material, then let's do it. So don't be afraid of say, hey, let's slow down or let's wait. Let's put everything on hold till we have everything the right way.
Right. Well, I think that's important because you said, again, it's what was planned versus what's executed, and that communication works. I mean, as we're recording this, we are right in the heart of rainy season. So, the next bullet point we talked about is, plan for these types of things, plans for rainy season and, natural element issues.
Yeah. So again, it's actually connected with the other topic, right? So for example, right now I have one construction where we had delays on material, and we are on the roof. So the most important part of the construction, when everything is under the roof, everything is easier, and you can go through the rainy season. Unfortunately, on this construction, we were delayed on the material because again, we were waiting for the right one, for the high quality, and it came late. And now this year we had 4 weeks or almost 5 weeks of rain. So we did only half of the roof, and we were waiting, doing some other stuff. And then hopefully today or yesterday and today we were continuing on the roof. So plan the construction right. Don't rush it. So for example, when you're on the island in the summer and then you're planning to start your construction September, October, you're going, we're already having the hurricane season, and then we're coming into the rainy season. So first, you can't do the digging. So, all this is important. Pretty much for me, the best time to start the construction is around February, March. You start it perfectly in the dry season, do all the foundation, all the gray work in the dry season, have the roof on time, and then you can easily finish everything from outside. And then when the rainy season hits, then you have all the work inside, which doesn't affect you anymore. So you can do all the tiles, all the painting, everything inside the house. And then, of course, once the build is done, then you can do the gardening or cleaning around. And then it's pretty much the rainy season is over. Be also careful when they tell you, okay, this build's going to be done 6-8 months. Because they always gonna be delayed. It's normal. It's construction. Everything gets delayed, and especially here on the island, because we are depending on the weather, on the supplies from the mainland or even from US. So plan everything the right way. Don't trust the builder 100% because they're always trying to tell you, hey, your dream home is gonna be ready in 6-8 months. I always tell my guys, 8 months, a little bit too fast. Let's count more for 10 to 12 months.
Keep proper expectations. When one of the conversations that when we were having with our builder is my wife and I were pretty excited. Obviously, we were, hey, let's get going. Let's do this. And he actually put us off about 3 to 4 months. And he said, hey, let's start targeting this right around what you said, February, March. And the whole point was to make sure that roof, everything, the walls were done. He said, because once that rainy season starts, we can work inside. That's no problem. But, and I think that was because we had good communication with him and we trusted him and we listened to him, it really made the build really a lot better for everybody. So it wasn't nearly as stressful.
Yeah, correct. And we have, I'm not saying that all the builders are bad. We have plenty of builders that they are aware of everything. They have a good planning. but sometimes just to make sure, okay, sit down and see how the schedule is going. So you guys don't end up in a situation like, for example, me on one of the construction right now that it's rainy season and the roof is not done yet.
Oof, ouch. Oh, I feel for you. All right. Our next bullet point keep moving along here is we talk about managing budgets and having contingency funds. As I referenced before, when my wife and our build went pretty quick. We built during COVID. So it was only about an 8 to 9 month build. We had really it was really nice for us. But during those 9 months, my wife and I made between us 17 trips to come here, bring materials that certain things couldn't get, and just keep an eye on things. That added into our budget. We had planned on that. So one thing we always try to tell people, make sure you have those contingencies for changes, whatever it is out there, the cash available.
Correct. Again, we're coming to the contract when you're signing on at the beginning of your build, where everything is scheduled the right way. I always suggest my clients make sure there is plenty of payments. Don't do too big amounts, because then you might get in a situation, and I can see it all the time. Hey, I see the builder. Oh, you have a new contract, right? Because you have a new car. They use the first payment for the material, and then suddenly he comes to the construction site in a brand new car. I'm like, that's kind of weird, it's normal. So unfortunately, that's something that's pretty common here. So, but again, that's why I'm suggesting make these payments a little bit smaller, make more of the payments, make sure that you have very strict detailed in the contract. Okay, this is what we use for this material. This payment comes when this is done. This is when we are purchasing this. This is when it's this. And what's the most important part? It's the last payment. Okay, there is a lot of builders that they're trying to push you. Hey, I need a little bit more. I need a little bit more. I need a little bit more. And then at the end, you end up with, I don't know, maybe 5,000-10,000 as the last payment. Okay, so imagine now is the construction. There's issue to be fixed. There's something delayed, but your payments are already almost done. It happened to me many times, or not many times, but it happened to me few times that we get to the situation that we overpaid or paid too much in advance, and then we actually lost the building. Because you're like, okay, well, with all that I'm supposed to get the money, and then the amount of work and the material that I have, it's not worth for me. And they just walk away. Yeah. I'm not saying that it will happen to you. It's happening all the time, but there are situations that we know that happen on the island, that we have experience with, and then you have to deal with them. So that's why I always suggest to my clients, leave a nice chunk of money at the end of the build. Don't go too crazy, because you will be killing the builder and you will put him under stress, but don't go too easy on him, so you have the security at the end. If there is any issues, if there is any delays, or there is any extra work done, that there is the right amount at the end that will push the builder to finish your construction the right way.
Well, I think, you bring up a great point, because I like the way you said that. And just quite frankly, contractors and builders are contractors and builders. This is not a unique issue to to Roatan or to Honduras. I can't tell you how many contractors in the United States that I worked with that you agreed on the price, you agreed on the time frame, and at the last second it was, I need XYZ more. And it's funny you said that, because I can also tell you how many contractors on the second payment I'd be working with that showed up with a new F-150 truck. So I mean, it just happens, right? People want to win business. They want to do the right thing. They want to do quality work, but sometimes they just don't budget well enough. And that's why I always tell people, if you have, maybe 10%, say you're going to spend $500,000, maybe you budget $550,000. And that way, if you have a little extra variance, if you don't spend the extra 50, hey, that's okay. You know what? Put it into your house later on. But always be cognizant that there are changes, and those changes cost money. When you make changes, there are costs to that. So be conscious of that.
And you're making a very, very good point right there. No construction is perfect. We talk about it. There's always changes. It's very important, because, again, I'm speaking from experience. So it's important when you, the architect and the builder, meet on the construction site, and if there is changes that have to be made, okay, get the right quote, agree on everything before you let the builder to continue on the build, because then you might be surprised at the end he's gonna go, oh, but we changed this, we changed that, and it's gonna cost you another 50,000 on top of your budget, and then you are like surprised, yeah, but we didn't agree on that. It happened on few constructions, or I have builders that would be like, oh, don't worry about it, it's okay, no, we do it for you, no, that's okay, and then at the end it's like, oh, but we did this and we did. I was like, yeah, but you said don't worry about it. So that's not exactly what you said. What we're gonna be talking about. So things happen. Be prepared and be aware of this.
Yeah, perfect, and absolutely, and that's where communication comes in. Becomes really critical. So, our last bullet we talked about was, just make sure that the design is sustainable and the utilities are where you need them. This is kind of a smaller point because you should be doing this prior to being in the middle of your build, but make sure that what you're doing is got a good design and good the utilities.
Correct. Yeah, it's very important. So again, because the island is big, we have many options that we can pick from. Maybe you're building in a little bit remote area. So is the power already there, or do you have to adjust, or do you have to agree with the REC to bring the power for the construction site, or also make sure that the builder has the power plant, the builder has access to water if there is no water yet. If you're starting in a brand new project, there might be no water yet, there might be no wells yet. So make sure all this is covered and all is prepared for. Of course, during the build, things change. You bring the internet in, you bring the power in, you bring the water in, and everything is there finished for when the construction is done. Also, the good thing is that we spoke about many times, or clients are always asking, is about solar. Make sure that you have the conversation with the builder, even though if you might not be interested in the solar right now, but what about 2, 3, 5 years once the house is done? So make sure everything is already prepared for all this. Have a connection for the power plant. Have all different possibilities, so you don't get surprises later and then spend extra more money for no reason.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. One of the things that just jumped in my head as we were talking was it's not necessarily always just access to power, but like in my neighborhood, several of the folks who were building after me, they had to actually add their own transformers in because there were too many houses that were on a transformer. And RECO came out and said, whoa, we can't have this many homes. So they had to add a transformer, and that kind of surprised them, that shock. But so it's not always, just water and power, but it's actually maybe the additional amount of it. So that's a critical part. So, okay. So, hey, everybody, thank you very much today. Marek, it's always a pleasure talking to you. It's always enjoy these conversations. And if you guys have questions out there, Mr. Marek Venura, he is an agent here with RE/MAX. He's excellent to work with, and he can answer all your questions, especially about building your dream home. So, Marek, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you for everyone listening to us. And again, guys, we are here for you. We are making these things for you to make your life easier. Ask questions. We already have experience many years on the island with build and with other stuff. So just give us a call, and we are here for you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Again, I'm Russ Regentz. This has been the Roatan Real Estate Roundup, partnered with here at RE/MAX. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening. Remember, when you come to Roatan, one of the best ways to see the island and its beauty is a real estate tour. Reach out to RE/MAX. Listen next week at this time for the Roatan Real Estate Roundup on Blue Wave Radio.